Okay, so have you ever totally messed something up and wished you could just hit rewind and try again?
Uh-huh, yeah.
I'm talking like a surgeon making a mistake during a procedure or an athlete flubbing a game-winning shot, but instead of it being this awful moment, you could actually rewind, see what went wrong, and use it as a learning
Right,
experience.
like a learning superpower.
Exactly. And that's kind of what we're diving into today, this idea of simulation training, specifically a system called VALT by Intelligent Video Solutions.
IVS.
Yeah, IVS, and how it's changing the game when it comes to learning and performance.
It's really fascinating stuff. This whole world of simulation training is blowing up right now,
Mhm.
especially in fields like healthcare and education.
And for good reason, right? Like the stakes are incredibly high in those fields, so being able to practice and make mistakes in a safe environment is invaluable.
Absolutely. And that's where a system like Volt comes in.
Okay, so walk me through this. We're talking about more than just hitting record on a camcorder, right?
Way more. Yeah, this isn't your grandma's VCR. Vault is designed specifically for learning environments, so it's like this crazy high-tech system that captures everything in crystal clear detail.
So give me an example, like how would this actually work in, say, a nursing class?
Okay, so imagine a nursing student is practicing how to insert an IV, which can be a tricky procedure.
Yeah, I can imagine.
With Vault, everything the student does is recorded in high-definition video, so their hand placements, the angle of the needle, even like subtle things like their facial expressions, which can indicate stress or uncertainty, it's all captured.
Wow, so instructors can literally see every tiny detail and provide feedback.
Exactly, and that level of analysis is just impossible with traditional teaching methods.
That's incredible. But I gotta ask, one thing that always makes me nervous with new tech is, well, the tech part. Is Vault something that both students and instructors can actually use, or are we talking about a steep learning curve that takes away from the whole learning experience?
No, that's actually one of the best things about Vault. They've made it incredibly user-friendly, like surprisingly so.
Okay, good, because the last thing we need is for students and educators to be battling with some complicated software instead of, actually learning.
Exactly. And the system is designed to be super intuitive and easy to pick up. So the focus stays on what matters, the learning, not troubleshooting tech issues.
That's a huge relief. Nobody learns when they're fighting a system crash. But ease of use is just one piece of the puzzle, right? What about the reliability and security of all this sensitive data being recorded? I mean, we're talking about educational settings. There's got to be some serious considerations there, right?
You absolutely. And those are things that IVS has really prioritized with Vault. The
Hmm.
system has a really low failure rate, and they've built in robust security features to make sure all that sensitive information is protected.
Okay, that's reassuring.
And the other thing is that Vault is designed to scale. So whether it's a small nursing lab or a massive multi-building medical school, the system can grow with their needs.
So it's flexible and can adapt to different learning environments.
Exactly.
That's really impressive. You've definitely piqued my curiosity about all of this.
Good, good.
We've talked about how user-friendly and secure Vault is, but what are some of the other standout features that make it such a game changer for learning? What really sets it apart?
So one of the coolest and probably most impactful is this feature called bookmarking.
Bookmarking. Okay, like in a book.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
It lets instructors tag specific moments during a recording. So say a student makes a mistake during a simulated medical emergency. Instead of having to scrub through the entire recording to find that moment, the instructor can just click on the bookmark they placed and boom, they're right there.
Hold on. Instructors can bookmark things live as they are watching?
Yep, pretty slick, right?
That's amazing. It's like having a sixth sense for those teachable moments.
That's a great way to put it. It really is like having a sixth sense for those key learning opportunities.
But it's not just about catching mistakes, is it?
No, not at all.
I imagine you could use those bookmarks to highlight moments of brilliance, too, like when a student nails a difficult procedure or demonstrates exceptional critical thinking skills.
You're absolutely right. Those bookmarks are just as valuable for highlighting the positives, those moments of effective communication, creative problem solving, or when a student just absolutely crushes it.
I love that. So it's not just about fixing what went wrong, but also about understanding and reinforcing what went right.
Precisely. It's
Yeah.
about recognizing and celebrating those successes just as much as it is about analyzing areas for improvement. And I think that's what makes this whole approach so powerful.
Okay, so we've talked about the technology, the bells and whistles, but I want to get into how Vault actually changes the game when it comes to learning.
Yeah, let's dive into that.
Because it's one thing to have this amazing system that can record everything, but it's another thing entirely for it to actually translate to real-world learning and improvement.
Absolutely. It's all about application. And the impact that VALT is having on education is incredible, like really, really incredible.
To paint a picture for me, how does this work in a real classroom setting?
Okay, so put yourself in the shoes of a nursing student, right? You're learning a complex procedure, maybe something like inserting a central line.
Which is a serious procedure.
Oh, yeah. High stakes. And in the past, you would have had limited opportunities to practice this, probably on a mannequin, maybe with some supervision. But with VALT, you can practice this procedure as many times as you need in a safe, simulated environment.
Right, because the consequences of making a mistake in a simulation are way less dire than, making a mistake on an actual patient.
Exactly. The stakes are lower, which allows students to really relax, experiment, and learn at their own pace without the fear of causing harm. But here's where VALT takes it to another level. Not only can you practice in this safe space, but you can also record the entire experience, replay it, analyze your performance, and see exactly where you excelled or where you need to improve.
Wow, so it's almost like having a personal film crew for your learning experience.
Right, and not just a film crew. Imagine a coach who's able to pause, rewind, and zoom in on those critical moments, providing you with personalized feedback that you would never get otherwise.
And that's where those bookmarks come into play, right?
Exactly. It's like having a highlight reel for learning.
I love that because instead of just saying, hey, you need to work on your hand placement, the instructor can actually pull up a specific moment in the recording and say, okay, right here, look at the angle of your wrist. Let's adjust that.
Yes, and that level of precision and specificity is what makes this so powerful. It takes the guesswork out of learning, both for the student and for the instructor.
And it seems like students are really responding to this approach. I mean, who wouldn't want to have access to that kind of personalized feedback and analysis?
Absolutely, and the source material we have actually highlights this. There's a quote from Shelley Jeske, the simulation learning manager at Mount Royal University. And she says that it's incredible to see the light bulbs go off when students can really delve into the learning that's occurred using a system like VALT.
That's fantastic, and it makes perfect sense.
It does.
When you give people the tools to really see themselves in action, to break down those micro moments and understand the why behind their actions, that's when true learning and improvement can happen.
I agree. It's about empowering students to take ownership of their learning, and VALT gives them that power.
So we've talked a lot about the student experience, but what about the educators? How is VALT changing the game for them?
Oh, it's game changer for educators as well.
I bet it makes giving feedback so much easier and more effective.
Oh, absolutely. Instead of relying on memory or subjective observations, instructors can actually go back, review specific moments, and provide targeted feedback, like pinpoint the exact moment where a student's technique needs adjustment or where their decision-making could be improved.
And it probably makes those debriefing sessions so much richer too, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Instead of it just being a vague discussion about what happened, everyone's on the same page, literally, because they can see the recording.
It's like having evidence to back up your observations.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the bookmarks take those debriefings to another level because instructors can just jump to those key moments and say, okay, let's talk about what was happening here. What were you thinking? What were your options?
Yeah, it turns those recordings into this interactive learning tool.
Exactly. It's like having a conversation with your past self about your performance.
I love that it brings a whole new meaning to the phrase learning from your mistakes.
Right. And it's not just about the mistakes. It's about understanding the entire process, the good, the bad, and everything in between.
It's like having X-ray vision into the learning process.
Exactly. And the crazy thing is that this is just the beginning.
What do you mean?
Well, as technology keeps evolving, so will simulation training. We're already seeing things like virtual reality and augmented reality be incorporated into these simulations. And then there's the whole world of artificial intelligence and the potential for personalized feedback and guidance in real time.
So we're talking about a future where simulations become even more immersive and realistic, almost indistinguishable from real-life experiences.
Exactly. And the implications for fields like healthcare, aviation, disaster response, any field where training under pressure is crucial, are huge.
It's mind-blowing to think about.
It really is. And the best part is this technology isn't limited to just those high-stakes fields. Any industry where skill development and performance improvement are valued could benefit from this.
You've got a point there. We've been talking a lot about healthcare and education, but when you really think about it, the applications for this kind of technology are practically endless.
Absolutely. And I think that's what's so exciting about this field. It's constantly evolving, pushing the boundaries of what's possible, and ultimately transforming the way we learn and perform.
Well said. And on that note, we'll leave our listeners with this final thought. How could this technology revolutionize learning and performance in your world? The possibilities are out there, waiting to be explored. This concludes our deep dive into the world of simulation training and the incredible impact of VALT. We encourage you to check out IVS and see what all the buzz is about. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.